Hello, my name is Peter Parfitt. Welcome to the New Brick Workshop. Have you ever had a melamine shelf? It might be in your kitchen or somewhere else in the house, which because of whatever's been kept on that shelf, it's got a bit grubby and you really want to clean it. Now I thought I'd show you this. This is some melamine coated MDF, which was given to me free of charge by a friend of mine. And when he gets a pallet of veneered plywood or veneered MDF in, often there's a protecting piece underneath and sometimes on top to protect the valuable veneered stuff that's below. And these sheets are not collected by the supplier, but they get a lot of rough treatment, and so it's pretty filthy. There's all sorts of gunge on it, and I thought I'd show you how I go about cleaning this up. Right, the things I've got to help me do this are, I've got some methylated spirits, that's sort of denatured alcohol if you like. I've got some white spirit, I've got some cream cleanser, that's the stuff that you would use for wiping out basins, and underneath here I've got a bucket of soapy water, which is the final part of the process. And because of the stuff that's on here, I don't know whether it would respond better to white spirit or to methylated spirits. I've already actually had a practice go, and meths is the thing that I'm going to be using because it does do a better job. So I've got a piece of, this is sort of kitchen paper stuff, and I'm going to start by going over this and doing my best to get as much off as possible. Now you do need to make sure you have plenty of ventilation in your workshop and have no naked flames or sparks when you're using stuff like this, because the fumes are flammable. And I can see that this is having an effect already. It's not actually solving it completely, but hopefully you can probably see what's coming off. So it is making a difference. And I found that actually if you give the methylated spirits or white spirit, depending which you're using, a little bit of time to get into the stains on top, then the process is then a little bit easier. So once I've done my best with either the white spirit or methylated spirits, I then give a final wipe to get the worst of it off before the next stage. So it's still not clean at this point, but it's a lot better than it was, and most of the soluble stuff has been removed. And just to make you aware, for ventilation, I've got one of my garage doors open. And having used that, I'm now going to turn to the cream cleanser. Now the advantage of this stuff is that it has an abrasive effect and can get rid of some of the stains that the solvent could not. Now, I don't know if it's possible for you to see just how effective this is. Now what this is doing is actually taking the very top surface of the melamine off because it's an abrasive One doesn't need a huge amount of this. It's like all things, the more effort you put in, the better it becomes. And having done one's best with the cream cleanser, we then turn to the soapy water. Now I've got a sponge here, and I'm going to use this so I can wring the sponge out every now and again it's important to get as much of the abrasive cream cleanser off as possible, because it dries to a powder and you don't want that anywhere. There are one or two places where there are some stubborn stains and marks. Well, I'm not really worried about this, because I'll be able to work in any stubborn marks and get rid of those so they're not visible at all. And then the very final action is just to dry it off completely. And I hope you can see the sort of before and after effects are pretty good. There's a scrape there which will show, I can work that in. There's a little bit of a mark there, but that could be perhaps worked in so that it's in a place so it doesn't show. So I'm pretty pleased with this material. I'm very grateful to my friend for letting me have it, because he could have equally used this himself. Now you may think, well, why is he showing me this? Well, the reason is simple. There's all sorts of times that you'll get materials like this thrown into skips and it just gets wasted. And really that's bad for the environment and everything else. So if you can reuse material like this, then do so. And just by going through a little cleaning process like this makes this piece of melamine coated MDF really useful indeed. So that's all three of the sheets of melamine finished now. There are just one or two places where I've got a little scratch, but I can easily work that into whatever project I'm using this for. I think my first project is to make some drawers to go in the wardrobe in my bedroom. Now, I would like to just remind you that if you're using any form of solvent, whether it's methylated spirits, white spirit, benzene, whatever it might be, make sure you do it in a well-ventilated space. Make sure there's no risk of sparks that could cause an explosion. And do look after your chest by trying not to breathe in those fumes. So make sure there's plenty of air flowing through the space where you're doing the work. Many thanks for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.